So we are going to go over all of the basic functions of Dotloop to write contracts for buyers and sellers. We're mainly going to focus on the residential side of Dotloop for this training video, but we will have more training for commercial and property management coming soon. So when you first log into your Dotloop account, it should look something like this. You may see a few different loops on your home screen from addresses, maybe homes that you've sold in the past. These are just loops that have been added by other brokers from other offices, and they have added you into their loop. So feel free to clean up your home screen and click that archive button if you don't need those anymore. So I'm going to start with just some account setup and support. If you go up to this top corner where you see your name and PJ Morgan Real Estate, that'll be a drop-down menu. First thing I want to point out is your member ID right here. So you may not use this very often, but if you do reach out to Dotloop support, they may ask you for your member ID just so they can quickly locate your account, and this is where you can find it. Now mine's going to look a little bit different because I have admin profile, but you should just see one profile with your name and PJ Morgan Real Estate. Down here, you can click to get to the Help Center. This is going to take you to the Dotloop Help Center support where you can find webinars, you can find training manuals, different help articles, things like that. And if you're ever in a bind and you do need any support, you can always call this number and they will get back to you with any help that you need on your account. So now I'm going to go into my account here and show you guys just a few things. It's going to default to your account settings. This is where you can add your photo to your account. Those are available on the core site. If you need help finding it, just let me know. You can add a tagline right here. If you have a tagline, this will go on all outgoing emails to either clients or to other agents. I'm going to go into this profile section. Again, mine looks a little different since I have two different profiles, but you should just have one. The main thing I want to point out here is your notification settings. So these are going to be email notifications, and these will be either text or if you have the app, push notifications on the app. So I would suggest leaving all of these on for now, and then you can turn them off as you realize I don't need a notification every time a document's signed, or however you want to personalize that. Next is document preferences. So all of our forms, all of our fillable forms, contracts, all available on Dotloop. We'll get into that here shortly. But this will give you the option to make a default text, text font, style, color. Otherwise, it's going to default to this style right here, but you can change that if you'd like to. And then finally, I wanted to point out messenger notifications. So this is where you can authorize Dotloop to give you notifications for the mobile app, via email, or via text. And then you'll want to register your phone number right down here too so that they can give you those notifications. All right, I'm going to go into the home screen. If you click on the PJ Morgan Real Estate logo up at the top, that'll take you back to your home screen. And I want to point out a few things here. On your top bar, you'll see a few different icons. These are all on the full account level. So we have a reporting icon. This will take you to a page that will show you graphs and allow you to generate reports based on all of the loops that you've created. So your current listings, anything you have pending or closed, you can grab that data and use it however you wish. Your loops icon is going to take you to this home page where you're going to see all of your loops. The task icon is going to bring you into your tasks. Any tasks that you have scheduled for yourself or that you've given to other people will all show up here, and I will show you where that comes into play. Your people section is going to be a collection of all of your contacts that you've ever added into your Dotloop. So you can see I have a few agents on here, I have a few title companies. As you add people to your loops, they're going to continue to build on this page right here, so you will always have access to all of your contacts. And then I want to get into the templates section. So there's a lot to look at in here. A few things I want to point out here are all of the different folders. You can see you have your own personal folder. You can add whatever you wish in here. You can add, an extra maybe getting to know you document that you send to clients or whatever you need. This is your own personal folder that no one else is going to see. you also have an inbox. So to access this inbox, every Dotloop account has their own personal inbox, and to get into this, you're going to use this email address right up here. I would suggest copying this email address and putting it as a contact into your Outlook. And then maybe if an agent from an outside company or whoever sends you a document, you know that you're going to need to have it signed, but you want to get it out of your inbox, you can forward it to this email address right here, and it's going to pop up right here in this inbox for you. Next is the PJ Morgan Real Estate Master folder. So this folder has every form that we have available to you. They're in no specific order. They're more so in the order of how we've added them. So to find what you need, you can use this search bar and just start typing whatever form you need. So say we need a listing agreement, just start type listing, and everything that falls under that category is going to show up for you. We also have a few other folders. We have a buyer packet for one buyer, a buyer packet for two buyers, same for sellers, and we will get into how to use those here shortly. While we are on this tab, I wanted to show you one other function really quick that you may or may not need to use more often, and that is a splitting the documents function. So let's go into my inbox. I actually already did this, you can see here, but I'm going to show you again. So say that we need to split this document. Maybe this has a contract and a few different addenda attached to it. So let's open this up really quick. And it's going to show you your document here, the document name. You're just going to go up to File here, and this is going to give you a few different options for printing, downloading, but what I want to show you is splitting. Once you hit split, you're going to have this window pop up. It's going to tell you how many pages are in your document, and then it's going to ask you how many documents do you want to split this into. In this case, I'm going to split it into 2 documents, and then I'm going to give them a name. So let's just say for this one, we're going to say notes page 1 through 2, and then you're going to choose the page range, page 1 through 2. Notes page 3 through 4, page 3, let's change that back to 3 through 4. Once you're done with that, you're going to hit split and done. When you go back to the folder wherever you were at, you can see that now we have different file names. So we have page 1 and 2. If we scroll down, you can see now we're on page 3 and 4. Now let's go back to the folder that we started in. That was in our inbox. And now you can see that those are split up for you. So I just wanted to point that out for you guys before we get into the weeds of the loops and whatnot. Now you know how to do that. All right, let's go back to our home page. A few other things I want to point out on this home page here. We have our activity log. Again, this is on the account level, so this is going to give you a log of every activity that's happened in every loop that you have going on, whether somebody signed a document or viewed a document, if processing left you a note about a document, anything like that. You also have notifications. These are going to show up for when clients sign, things like that. Any notifications that you have set on your account settings are going to show up here when they're available. There's also this search bar. So say we're getting really busy, we have a ton of loops going on, or maybe we're looking for an old loop. You can use this search bar to find any loop that you're looking for. As it says here, you can search by address, title, MLS number. You can also search by client name or any other field that's within your loop. There are also filters. I'm going to open these up here. You can create filters so that on your homepage you only see loops based on their loop type, on their status. Maybe we only want to look at our active listings or our files under contract. You can also look at them based on review stage. So maybe the ones that have been returned to you or you have added additional documents, things like that. Once you create a filter, you can save it and use it for future use, or clear all of the filters, and then you're going to be viewing every loop on your account. You can also sort your homepage by all of these different dates. Maybe you only want to see the most recent, or you want to see the ones that are closing the soonest. And then there's also different views that you can use. So your home screen is going to default to the grid view. You can switch this over to list view so that it's a little bit more simplified, or you can narrow it down even more and go into compact view. So that is just your own personal preference, however you want to use it. All right, so let's get into making a loop. It's pretty easy. I don't know if any of you have used SkySlope. There was a lot of data entry. There was a lot of steps to create a file. This is completely simplified with Dotloop. So all we're going to do is go up to this button right here and click Add Loop. And now we're going to give our loop a name. And this can be whatever you want it to be, however you want to organize your files. So you can name it by your client name. You can name it by the property address, anything you want. If you do start typing an address, it will give you some Google suggestions. And if the property is currently listed, it'll come up with the listing as well. That will help you autofill some fields in your loop, which we'll get into in just a minute. But for this, I'm just going to name this buyer loop. We're going to hit continue. Next, you're going to choose a template. You are required to use a template, but you do have a few options here. We do have a loop template for residential listings when you're representing a seller and for when you're representing a buyer. And again, commercial options. We also added a blank template, and this would be used if you just need to send maybe a one-off document that's not specific to any property or to any sale that you have going on. Maybe you just need a digital signature for whatever else you're doing. You can use this blank template for that. For this example, I'm going to go into the buyer template. I'm going to hit continue. Next step is to upload a photo. This is completely optional. You can skip it, not necessary at all. So you can just go ahead and click done. And that's all you have to do to create your loop. So let's go ahead and get into it. We can either just click into here or hit view loop. All right, now that we're into our loop, I'll show you a few things. You can organize your files and your loops by status. Once you do turn in your loop to processing, we will update that for you. But for the time being, before they are submitted, you can use that yourself. View details is going to go into the expanded version of all of the information in your loop, property address, contacts, and things like that. Over here is where you're going to see some notifications when things get signed, or if processing sends you a note on your loop, you're going to see that notification here. All right, so the other elements of the loop are going to be your documents. You have a few different folders. These can be clicked on to be minimized or expanded if you want to view a more minimized version of this. And we'll get into how to use those in just a minute here. Next section is your people section. So this is always going to default to you since you created the loop, and admin for PJ Morgan Real Estate. Admin is not going to see your loop until you submit it, so you don't need to worry about if your loop looks like a mess or if maybe it's something confidential. We are not looking at anything unless it is submitted. And then we also have the task section, which we can get into in just a minute here. You can add yourself tasks, you can assign them to your clients, however you want to use that, it's completely up to you. You can also save them as templates if you wish. All right, so let's get into the documents here. You're going to have two different folders for a buyer loop. For a seller loop, you're going to see three different folders. This top folder that says loop documents, this is for you to use however you wish. You can keep it as organized as you want. You can make a complete mess out of it. This is your own folder to do your own organizing and your own filing. So you can consider this kind of like the documents section on SkySlope. Whereas this next folder is going to be more like the checklist version on SkySlope, where this is the organized, in order, everything that you're going to need in the correct file names, and I will show you guys how to use this. Okay, so let's start and say we want to write a contract for a buyer. We're going to go right up here to Add Document. And this is going to open up three different options for you. So you can either email documents into your loop by clicking on email. This is going to give you a unique email address specific to this loop. You can just copy and paste it right into your Outlook and forward documents straight into your loop. You can also use browse. This is going to pop up your own browser for your computer. You can grab a document from your desktop or however you have your files saved. One quick note on browse I wanted to mention, sometimes forms have, when you grab a form from Dropbox or from anywhere, they may have some sort of protection on them. So you're going to want to make sure to flatten that document. And by flatten, I mean you're going to print the document and save it as a PDF. And that will make sure that Dotloop can read the document and there's no issues when you try and share it. But today we're going to focus on the templates. So we're going to write an offer for a buyer. Let's go into our templates. And these folders look just the same as they did on that template section that we looked at. We have different buyer packets, whether you're working with one buyer or two buyers. For this case, let's say we're just working with one buyer. So all of the required forms are going to be right in here. There's some descriptions on when they're required or how to fill them out best. In this case, we're going to hit select all. If there's any that you don't need, you can deselect them, but safe to assume you might need them all. So let's go ahead and copy all. And now you can see all of those forms have been added into our loop. Since they are bolded, that means they are a new template that hasn't been opened, it hasn't been modified. This is a completely new form. You can see these kind of grayed out fields, same as down here. These are what we call placeholders. So this is more of a reminder to you to grab those MLS disclosures. You can easily click over here to add the file from your desktop or wherever you have it saved. If you need to get rid of any of these, say we want this little reminder for uploading documents to go away, you can grab these three dots over here, click on that, and then hit archive. If you accidentally archive something that you didn't mean to get rid of, you can always click up here and say show archived, and that'll show you everything. Nothing's going to be deleted, nothing will disappear from you. It's just going to be gone from your view. It'll just be archived. All right, so let's go ahead and start filling out these documents. Let's skip the escrow instruction sheet. I clicked up here to select all, but I'm going to deselect the escrow instructions because I'm not going to fill that out quite yet. And to start filling out your forms, we're going to go up here and click open. All right, as soon as you open your forms, you're going to get this pop-up for autofill. You may be tempted to skip this, but I would suggest not because this is going to make contract writing so much easier for you. So just like the old buyer packet that we had where you would fill out the escrow instructions and then the contract would fill out for you, this is the same concept. So we're just going to add in the appropriate information, and all of these fields that we add in will be the only time we have to fill them in. They will be automatically filled on all of these forms that we just selected and any forms that we bring in the future. So first, let's add our people. We haven't added a buyer yet, so we're going to scroll down to add person. And let's just name him Bobby Buyer. You can see I've already tested this out a few times, so he's already saved in there. If you do have any repeat clients, their information, their email addresses are already going to be saved in there, so you won't have to go back and look for them again. You do have the option to fill in the rest of their contact information, but none of this is required or necessary. It's up to you if you want to use that. All that we need for signatures is their name and their email. There is a little button over here for add to my team. This will not be used for clients. This will only be used in an instance where you are co-listing with another agent, or maybe you are helping out an agent while they're out of town and you're writing an offer for them. If you add them to your team, they will have full access to everything in your loop, whether it is shared or not. So be cautious when you're using that. You only want to use that when you're working with an agent on the same side of the transaction. You also have the option to send an intro email. Maybe you want to give them an introduction to the program and let them know this is how we're going to be signing documents. Also, I don't feel it's necessary, but it's up to you if you want to do that. All right, so let's add that buyer in there. And then we're going to add ourself as the buying agent. We don't have a listing agent yet, but you could add them in there if you did know who the listing agent was for the property you're writing an offer on. Next, we're going to put in the address. So I will just use that address there. As you fill it in, you see those Google suggestions. It'll automatically fill in all of these fields for you. If there is a unit number, go ahead and add that there. You can also add the county here. And then it's asking for some financials. So let's say we're writing an offer for $100,000. And we're going to put $1,000 for earnest money. Our offer date is today. And we are planning on closing in a month. So let's put that closing date there. And then we will hit autofill. Takes just a second, but you can see over here this little notification says 2 roles have been assigned. That means me and the buyer. And 35 fields have been autofilled. Any field that has been autofilled is going to be highlighted in yellow, so then you know that was the automatic fill. If you need to edit that, you can. But you shouldn't need to. All right, so now we're on the one buyer template. So you can see here, if you highlight over the fields that need to be signed, you can see up here it's already assigned to Bobby Buyer. There is the option for a second initial here for a second buyer, but that's currently assigned to no one. So when Bobby does open this email to sign, he will be prompted to only initial right here. You can see he's prompted to sign here. His name already filled in, my name filled in, my phone number. As we scroll down here into the purchase agreement, you can see the address has auto-filled. It did not auto-fill the legal description, so let's put that in there. Let's say lot 1, block 0, Westgate. And then you can go through and fill out your contract as you normally would. These highlighted fields are already in for you, but you may need to fill in a few others, like right here. He'll be prompted to initial this page. Your address shows up here for you. So you can continue to fill this out as you normally would. I won't spend too much time on that. But I did want to show you one function on other provisions. You can use this on any text box, any area that you need to fill in a fillable field. We have clauses that are automatically built into Dotloop. So when you want to write in an escalation clause, or you want to write in some verbiage about how things are going to go with the appraisal and you don't know how to word it, these are already built into the system for you to use. So to access these, you're going to go up to this top bar, and these 2 little squares right here, you can see it says add clause. Go ahead and click on that. And then you're going to see a library of clauses that we have added in here for you. You can also add your own on the template section, but these are available to you from the office. Let's say we want to add an escalation clause. We'll just grab that and hit add. And now we can just fill in the blanks here. So we will pay $1,000 over any offer up to $110,000 with proof of the other offer. Also, when you're in these open field boxes, you can start typing certain things. Let's say we wanted to do that escalation clause. And I think it's not working because we already had that one, but let's try a different one. Well, it never wants to work when I try to show this, but normally you can begin to type the clause and it'll give you an option to fill it in right from there. I think you saw that when I started typing this the first time. All right, so let's keep going. We'll just keep filling in the contract. Everything looks good. We've filled in all of the blanks. We have it exactly as we want. But maybe we're not ready for our buyer to sign yet. We're just getting this prepared before our showing. So now that we're all finished with all of these forms, I'll show you a few more just to show you all of the autofill options. All right, we are just going to go ahead and hit save. Now let's back out of this. Now you can see that these forms are no longer bolded because we have gone into them, we have edited them, they're not new anymore. But this escrow instruction sheet is still bolded because we haven't touched that yet. So now we've gone to our showing, our buyer wants to write an offer. We can go in here and edit that purchase agreement for the offer terms, edit our cost worksheet for the offer terms, and now we are ready to send it on. So let's grab all of the forms that we want to send to our buyer to sign. I will deselect the escrow instructions again, and we're going to come up here and hit share. All right, so the share screen shows up a few different options for you. It shows you all of the documents that you are sharing, just in case you see something up there that you're not supposed to be sharing. You can click out and deselect it, but that's just a reminder of everything that's going to be going to this person. Next, it's going to tell you who has access. Right now, only I have access and admin has access because we have not shared with anyone else. So now we're going to add people. Dotloop knows that Bobby Buyer has fields that are assigned to him. He doesn't have any fields that he needs to fill out, so this is going to default to the can sign option. We can add other people if necessary, if maybe there's a view only or someone else that needs to sign. There are a few different options here. For sharing permissions, you have view only where they can't sign anything. It's literally just a blank, or not a blank PDF, but a flat PDF sent to them. Can sign, it'll default to that when they have fields that they either need to sign or initial. Can fill and sign, if say this was a form where I want some of Bobby's information, I need him to fill it out, then I would give him can fill and sign privileges. And then can edit in private is used when you are sharing a contract or a form with an outside broker. This is ideal when they also use Dotloop because then they can go through and continue to use those same fillable fields on, say, page 8 and 9 of the purchase agreement. They can edit it on their own Dotloop account and then send it back to you so that we're not downloading and uploading multiple versions of the same document. You can also enter a custom message. So let's just say here are the offer documents. Feel free to call with questions. That message will show up on the email that is sent to the buyer before they even open up the documents to sign. So you can say whatever you want, or you can leave it blank too. You also have the option to attach a PDF to the email. So this would be ideal if, say, you're sending something over to Title or you're sending something to another agent that doesn't use Dotloop. When they open up the email, there will be a separate attachment to the email, and they will also have the option to click into Dotloop to find the document. But that separate attachment on the email makes it a little bit easier for them to open. In this case, I'm not going to click this because I don't want my buyer to be confused if he has to download that form and sign it in person or anything like that. But just know that that option is available. So we will go ahead and hit share. And done. And now Bobby has been shared all of these forms. And you can see this status over here has updated. So this is going to give us our status on sharing. It says we're still waiting on Bobby to sign. All right, I'm going to get out of the buyer loop and I'm going to go over to this video. This is different. This is on the seller side, but I want to show you how it works when they get the email and how they sign, just so you guys have a visual of the client view. So this is seller paperwork. They just opened their email and clicked the view document button that's on the email. You can see all of their fields are highlighted in orange, ready for them to sign. All they have to do is click Start Signing. They now have the option to edit their name. They can draw their signature if they wish, or they can just adopt that signature and click away and start signing. Another reason I wanted to show you the seller portion of signing is for this form right here. So instead of having to send the form to the seller, have them fill it out and send it back, and then you send it back to them for signatures, they can fill this form out and sign it all at the same time. They can just go down the list, click, 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 and it's much easier on everybody's side. All right, so let's go back. And I'm going to jump into my seller loop. So you can see this looks a little bit different. I have some things built out on my loop documents folder, but on the seller loop, I have listing contract documents folder and accepted purchase contract documents. You can see here now that my seller has signed all of their paperwork, this has updated to signed. So now I know that it's completed and it's done. We did have a question in one of our trainings about editing a document after it's been signed. So I'm going to show you that really quick. Let's say we signed the listing agreement, but now the seller decided, now I want the price to be a little bit different. Instead of having to refill out the entire contract, fix everything, you can just go into that specific form. And let's edit the price and terms. As soon as you start typing, this little pop-up is going to show up, and it says making changes to this form is going to clear all of your signatures. But yes, that's okay because I want to make some edits here. So I'm going to edit the listing price. And hit save, or I could hit save and share and send this right back to my seller. Here's the updated listing agreement. And all they have to do is just re-sign. It's quick and easy for everyone. There's no more redoing the whole contract. All you have to do is edit that one field and have them re-sign the contract. All right, so I'm going to go back. And now you can see that status has updated to not shared since all of those signatures have been cleared since we edited the form. But let's say we're ready to turn in our documents now. So everything's done, we're ready to go. This is our own personal folder that we can do whatever we want. But when we do upload or send forms to processing, we're going to drag and drop them into these folders here. That way we know exactly what they need. We're going to take on this cleaned up file name, and processing is going to have a much easier time auditing your files and getting back to you with any issues that you have or anything that you're missing. So let's say our agency disclosure is done, it's ready to go. I'm just going to click onto this line right here. And while I'm still holding on to that click, I'm going to drag it down and drop it right onto agency disclosure. You can see that little notification there that says replace with agency disclosure, and we're just going to drop it right there. Now let's take our lead-based paint disclosure, and we're just going to drag and drop it. And we're going to continue to do that with all of our forms. If you accidentally don't replace and you just drag and drop it there, that's okay. You can just keep going. Let's take our, oops, sorry about that. Let's take our MLS input form. All right, so now you can see we've taken on these file names that processing wants to see. We can see that our listing agreement is still missing. It's because we're waiting on our seller to sign. But let's say we're ready to go ahead and turn in this file. So instead of emailing or downloading these forms and sending them to processing in an email, printing them off, whatever, all you need to do is go up to this top button right here and click Submit for Review. As soon as you submit for review, it's going to ask you for a little bit of information. I tried to make this as easy on you as possible, but there's just a few things that processing needs to know. So right now, since we are on a seller loop, it wants to know the property address, the listing agent. Those are already filled in for us since we did the autofill. It wants to know the listing date and expiration date. And then instead of using the new listing checklist like we had in the past, we're just going to ask you these questions right here through Dotloop. So do you need a flyer? Yes or no? Do you need an email blast? Yes or no? And then hit next. Now it wants to know, what are we submitting for review? You have a few different folders. Processing doesn't want to see everything that you have going on in here. If this is a listing, you might have multiple folders for different offers and whatnot. All we want to see is what you want us to see. So in this case, we have a new listing and we are going to submit our listing contract documents. You can also leave a little note here, maybe just waiting on signatures for the listing agreement. We'll send shortly. Any note that you want to send to processing with your email, go ahead and type it right in there. And then you're going to hit submit. So now that that's been submitted, we're going to see a little bit of a change on this folder here. This window, or this column, if you will, over here is showing your review stage. Right now this has been submitted. If you hover over that, it says we're waiting on admin to review. Once admin does review, these are going to change to either approved or returned to agent because we found some sort of auditing issue on your file. If it does say approved, you're good to go, you're done, no worries. If it does say return to agent, you can hover over this little note icon. Let's just click on this. And this is a conversation between you and admin on all of your files. So you might see a note here that says, hey, you're missing initials on page 2, or whatever it is that you need to fix on your document. You will see that note right here. You can also see notes up on the top. This will show you every note that's in your loop, whereas if you click on the line level, you're only going to see the note for that specific form. All right, so let's say that our listing agreement is now signed. We're ready to turn that in. We still have it up in our loop documents folder, but we want to bring it back down into this listing contract documents folder. So let's grab that, bring it down, and replace it with that line. And we can see here, this indicates to us that processing has not seen this form yet. It has not yet been submitted. But we're ready to submit again. So instead of sending an email, let's just go right back up to submit for review. It only gives you the option to submit a full folder. And we have a new listing agreement in that folder. So we'll just add a note here. Listing agreement attached. That way processing knows that now we're just looking for the listing agreement, and go ahead and hit submit. If you're ever not sure if your documents have been submitted, you're not sure what's going on, you can always come up here to this activity log. And this is going to show you all of the activity that's happened. When you see any activity that says changed review stage, that means that you submitted your file to processing. Once they open it up and look at it, you'll see that activity here as well. But this will give you an idea of, did I turn that in, or did they look at it yet? Everything that's happening is going to all show right here. And that is the basics of Dotloop. Now on this seller loop, also you're going to have different folders, maybe for different offers and whatnot. You're going to follow that same function of dragging and dropping folders from your loop documents or any other folders that you have up here. You're going to drag and drop those into your accepted purchase contract documents. Once you have a fully accepted contract, you're going to turn that into processing, and then we don't need to see anything else that you have going on. If you do want to organize your folders, you can always add another folder. Maybe this is for offer 1. And you can email all those documents into yourself. Maybe we'll want to add another folder for offer 2. You can upload or email those documents into yourself however you want. Clicking these 3 little dots over here will give you the option to rename that folder if you wish. All right, and maybe we don't want that folder anymore, so let's just go ahead and archive it. And this offer fell through. I don't want it on my screen anymore. Let's go ahead and archive it. All of my listing contract documents are done. They've been approved. I'm just going to minimize that just to simplify my screen. And then you can also see down here under your people section, this continues to build as you add people. So when we added that seller or added the buyer, those are going to add here. You also have the option to add people right from this screen, or you can do it when you fill in your contract. All right, and that sums up all of the basic training that I have for you guys. If you have any questions or would like to do a one-on-one training, any issues that you have, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help anytime. You guys know where to find me, and I hope you enjoy it. It should make your life a lot easier. Thank you.